Look closely at the nose of this car. Between the aggressive lines of red paint sits a small, yellow center badge that commands immediate recognition anywhere on Earth. For most of the 20th century, the automotive industry operated on a single, reliable playbook: mass market domination. Executives like Henry Ford II sought to build as many units as possible and sell them to every viable customer. Enzo Ferrari intentionally operated outside this logic. He frequently refused to sell cars to wealthy, eager buyers who stood in front of him with open checkbooks. Ferrari prioritized the needs of his racing team over the demands of any commercial partner or mass-market buyer. He viewed road cars as a means to fund his track operations, ensuring he never had to answer to anyone but himself. This hierarchy transformed the Ferrari badge into a gatekeeper for an engineered myth of absolute exclusivity. Maintaining this myth required strict economic discipline. For decades, even as global demand for his vehicles surged, Enzo deliberately capped his production numbers. While his competitors poured capital into massive automated assembly lines, he insisted that every vehicle leaving his shop remain a hands-on, artisanal creation. By mathematically ensuring that production never reached the level of total market interest, he engineered a permanent state of undersupply. Maintaining that specific gap meant a Ferrari could never be casually acquired. Mass-market competitors could replicate the horsepower or the top speed, but they could never manufacture the prestige of a waiting list. This gave Enzo remarkable leverage. He famously walked away from a massive buyout offer from the Ford Motor Company and personally blacklisted prominent elites who failed to meet his exact standards. In the luxury market, brand value is defined entirely by the people a company is willing to exclude. This aggressive approach extended inward, dictating the daily operations on the factory floor at Maranello. Modern corporate management heavily prioritizes workplace harmony. Enzo actively avoided this, opting instead to foster an environment of controlled friction. He deliberately isolated his departments, pitting his lead engineers and top drivers directly against one another for resources and approval. The resulting interpersonal tension was meant to test his staff. He structured his leadership as a survival of the fittest, retaining only the resilient individuals who could thrive under persistent pressure. This internal pressure drove a relentless focus on raw engine power. When challenged on vehicle aerodynamics, his response was blunt. Aerodynamics are for people who can't build engines. The brutal environment served a mechanical purpose. It baked an uncompromising perfectionism directly into the DNA of the brand. That machinery required a visual identity that matched its origins. Enzo ignored the corporate trend of designing generic logos. Instead, he adopted the prancing horse, the personal insignia painted on the fuselage of a fallen World War I Italian flying ace. By utilizing this specific marker, the branding shed its commercial feel. It acted as a national coat of arms, grounding the vehicles in Italian heroism. Because the brand carried this historical weight, traditional commercials were unnecessary. High-stakes racing served as the only advertising the company required. This obsession with total independence was a survival trait learned in a period of extreme instability. Born into an era where a quarter of children never reached age 5, his father taught him absolute self-reliance was the only path to success. He built an empire by replacing a standard consumer transaction with an invitation to participate in a legend. When you successfully sell a myth, you answer to no one.